the National Association of Women Business Owners and National Speakers Association have become considerably more member-centric. They've expanded their member benefits and their programming. I have observed this firsthand as a member of both associations. So I'm especially excited to bring these two perspectives to save the associations. Deb and Rhett, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's start with a stat. I'm curious to know, what's a stat or data point which best describes your association's current success, and it's the direct result of a change in your membership engagement strategy from this past year? And Deb, we'll start with you.
Sure. Since all of you are very familiar with the world of membership, you know that it is a bit of a revolving door. And so our stat generally is that we lose and gain a third of our membership every year. But this past year, we were able to maintain our membership, which we consider is definitely a win considering what we just went through and the challenges that we had. The other stat that I thought that was very interesting to share, that because our virtual world expanded so much, we were able to reach out to an average of 600 non-members on a weekly basis starting last March. So that exposure for us was huge, and for our brand.
That is huge. 600 members, prospective members, non-members. That's fantastic. Rhett, what about you? What's your stat?
We were actually very similar to Navajo. We saw an increase in our membership, which we expected to see a decline. And what I mean by that is our year-over-year decline was actually flat. So we ended up gaining more members than we have lost over the last, I want to say 3 years. And that was during COVID.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how that happened. As I mentioned in the introduction, both of your organizations have really focused on members, and you've done a lot of outreach, you've introduced new benefits, and I'm curious if each of you could focus on 3 specific changes that your associations have made in this last year, which had a great impact on membership. And this time we'll start with you, Rhett.
Sure. The first thing we did is right at the height of the first wave, we ended up rolling out weekly webinars covering everything from physical health to business strategies to just a check-in, making sure everyone's doing okay. Those were really well received, and they were very timely. So we started those right in March. The second thing we did was we took our 4-day annual conference, which was in July, and we made it a 3-month conference with constant content, constant engagement. That was the second thing. And then the third thing we did is we started, much like Navajo's outreach to non-members, we actually did a strategy to members where we had a Zoom call with every single one of our members. And we're still doing that campaign, by the way, because getting through 3,000 members apparently wasn't as easy as we thought. But we're engaging each one individually, walking through their benefits, making sure they understand how we can help them become better speakers and build better businesses.
Yes, and I can say again firsthand that that was really impactful. Rhett called on me, went through many of the member benefits, some that I wasn't even aware of. So, okay, excellent. So those outreach calls, a lot of content and education. Deborah, how about you? With Navajo, what are 3 significant changes you've made that have impacted membership growth?
So I think that Rhett is spot on. The engagement piece is so key, and then really being able to enhance what your culture is within the organization. Our culture has always been about community. So I think offering live virtual programming every week was key. First of all, part of it is the structure of our organization with having chapters throughout the country and realizing that our chapters were not going to be able to do live events. So we were able to help supplement that programming. And then I would also say just the information that we were able to provide out to our membership as it relates to how to navigate with what was happening with PPP and other things. So providing key information that was going to be most up to date and things that they would be able to help them navigate during this time. And then social media. So it was a variety of different engagement tools. We also did expand out on our virtual conference, and that was a huge success for us as well. But it was all about membership engagement and that personal touch points that Rhett was mentioning.
And I'm just curious for both of you, where did that decision to become member-centric, where did that come from when the pandemic hit? Was it through team discussions, through leadership, through conversations with members? Something happened within your organizations that all of a sudden you said, we're going to really focus on members and double down. Where did that decision come from in both of your organizations?
I think that we needed to figure out a way to let them know that we were there for them. And so what better way than having a phone call or an email expressing that we were with them. We're an organization with a big heart. And so I think that it was just now more than ever to really just show them that this is what we were established and based on from the very beginning. We've been around for over 45 years. And so it was the actions that we took that really then showed our members how much we cared.
And Rhett, where did the decision at National Speakers Association, how did that evolve?
What we did was, as every member association, you're always member-centric and member-focused. But through the day-to-day, just getting things flowing, sometimes you become a little more product or event-focused on delivering value and not actually engaging with the members, which is, I think, at least for us, where we found ourselves, was more in that daily grind. The stories that we would get, people calling in and saying, like, I'm sorry, I can't renew my membership. I'll max out my credit card and I have to feed my family. Like, heartbreaking stories, I think, helped us take a pause and look at our members as the humans they are, and then say, what are we doing to help them as business owners and as humans? So it started with the leadership team. Then we collaborated with our board on what can we do and where can we give. And so that's how we rolled out programs to help and support our members. But as far as the question specifically around the decision, I would say it came from that human contact and just us taking a pause at the leadership level.
So as a result of making these changes, how's that impacted the association's outlook, culture, trajectory overall? What are you anticipating the next year or two to bring?
It's funny, that changed everything for our association. And I know that sounds dramatic, but what happened was I lead up the marketing and the communications and the sales teams. And from marketing and our messaging, we got really clear on how we help speakers. And that affected all of our marketing materials. It affected the way that we communicated with our members. It literally changed everything for us. And as far as what we can expect from that, we actually launched a whole new membership model that rolled out on April 5th. And we have a brand new website. We have all new marketing messaging and materials.
It's fantastic. Deborah?
We launched a new website. We changed up all our communication. We try to streamline how we're communicating with our members and within our database alone. So we have monthly, on Sundays, here's a recap of what's happening for the week. We then, of course, expanded virtual programming. The virtual programming is not going to go away, by the way. It will be for our conference, for everything that we do going forward. As much as we like it to have our members in person, and we know how much our members like being in person, we also realized that we were missing a huge audience by not offering that virtual component. So that's always going to be there. Social media is huge for us, and we've expanded. I just was on a team call this past week, and even on Instagram, just in a period of less than 3 weeks, we had additional 2,000 followers. So the engagement has been huge. And we finally, which is always very interesting, I'm sure you all can relate, getting member surveys done. I mean, that's always a challenge, but we actually were able to reach a very significant benchmark with our survey. And we did a joint survey with Gusto, one of our partners, and we were just on NBC Nightly News. So the brand itself has really gained some additional visibility.
Both of your organizations have done a lot of things in a short period of time, and you've seen great momentum, great success. But For those audience members who might be tuning in today and thinking, I am struggling to get one change initiative off the ground, what would your advice be? What's one strategy you would recommend to help them save their associations from decline?
If it's anything that we learned over this past year, the importance to be flexible and adaptable and be ready to change. I think sometimes within an organization, and also when we have a structure of a national board like we do, we take our time in deciding how we're going to roll things out. I think that what we've realized that we needed to really be as proactive and be ready for change. And so that's also what we've been able to do quickly within the organization over this past year. And so I would say the other thing that we're doing is we are beta testing a different model for future growth and scalability within the organization to help streamline the membership experience and really get our volunteers be more focused on the mission of the organization rather than the day-to-day operations. So what that means is that future chapters are going to be powered by Navajo HQ. And that's one of our biggest growth strategies.
Rhett, how about you?
I think Deb said it really well. And if I could add anything to that, it would just be a kind of a two-part piece, which is be really clear on how you're going to serve your members and how you're going to communicate that. Because the more clear the message, the easier it is for people to engage and buy. And then the second thing I would add might sound obvious, but really focusing on the member value. How is this going to advance your members' careers or their company, depending on who you serve? When we looked at everything through those two lenses, it was easier to get buy-in from chapters and community groups and our board members and even other staff, because we were able to first communicate how it's going to help. And then we had our messaging lined up really clearly of exactly what was going to happen, how it was going to roll out, and how we were going to talk about it.
Both of you have mentioned you've teed up that there are additional changes on the horizon for your organizations. Could you give a little sneak peek, a little more detail about the membership models and about some of the new initiatives that are on the horizon? Rhett, we'll start with you, please.
I was chuckling because it's one more thing that Navajo and NSA have in common. We launched a whole brand new membership model, and the goal of it was to give people multiple ways to engage with the association. And then once you've joined the association, multiple ways to engage again. And we love things in threes. So we launched 3 levels. We have a learn level, which is free. You can attend any of our live webinars that we're hosting monthly, and you can get weekly content. You can subscribe to our podcast. All that's free at the learn level. And our second level is subscribe. That one you pay a little nominal fee. Then you can watch some of the recordings from the webinars and you have a little more engagement. And just like Nava, that just whets the appetite a little bit more to, and it's really geared toward those interested in the speaking industry. Then once you're serious about speaking, we have Join, and that's our 3rd level. Then of course, within Join, we have 3 levels. So everyone is an essential member, meaning now you get the member discounts and the benefits. You have, of course, access to all the recordings, all the content that we produce, plus monthly networking and et cetera. Then a little bit more, if you keep advancing up, the next level is advanced. Then we throw in, you have implementation sessions following the webinars where you're able to learn and kind of strategize and mastermind, if you will, with each other on how you're going to implement the content you just learned. Then the last level that's new for us is all access. What we're doing is you don't have to pay for conferences, for your Zoom subscription, for our e-learning platform. You pay 1 annual fee and everything's included. So we're really excited about this level because so many of our members are loyal and highly engaged and attend so much and purchase so many things. It'll help save them money and it simplifies their life, honestly.
That's fantastic. Deborah, what's on the horizon for Navajo? Give us a sneak peek.
I'm just exhausted listening to Rhett and all the things that he's been working on. My goodness gracious. I know what the heavy lifting is like there, Rhett. Well, I talked a little bit about the structure of the organization. That's going to be really key, I think, for us. We're very much a grassroots organization where we have this chapter model. And I always say we are a national organization. And one of the benefits is that local experience. But it's being able to streamline what that means for our members and the experience. So we are building a staff right now for being able to support these chapters going forward. And now we're seeing tremendous growth of being able to open up Navajo in communities like Vermont and Nebraska, and going back to where we were, but now relaunching with this new model in Boston and Denver. So the growth of then the opportunity to bring more chapters and more connection as a result. We have a Navajo Circle program that's been very successful for us, because as women business owners, and really being any business owner, your needs change as your business grows. And so that Circle program has been around for a while, but they're reimagining that a little bit. It's for women business owners with gross revenue of 1 million or higher. So that's a great opportunity as well. And being able to serve and meet, once again, members of where they are. The other thing that I would mention is developing strategic partnerships. We have a great partnership with Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses, where we offer a premier honorary membership to those that graduate from that program. We work with Enterprising Women, we work with Facebook. And so having more opportunities to collaborate, we're also collaborating with franchisors and franchisees. It just expands your reach. So really working on those collaborative relationships, which I have a feeling Rhett and I are going to have an opportunity to collaborate, since there's some overlap here. So thank you, Sarah, for that introduction. And really figuring out ways of how we can work together, because I think there's just so much opportunity there. And going back to what Rhett said was perceived value, and what that means to provide additional value for our members.
Absolutely. So to sum it up, each of your organizations became more member-centric. You introduced a lot of changes, and it sounds like that change has led to momentum, excitement, engagement, and now you're going to be introducing more changes, which is fantastic. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I have become more invested in both of your organizations. As a longtime member, I'm more excited about my membership as a result of your recommitment to members. So as is customary, at the end of every Save the Associations interview, we do a celebratory dance. So please join me in some dance moves just to celebrate your success and all that you've done to save the associations. Thank you.